From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. K through 12 schools must sign certification against DEI to receive federal money, Trump administration says. That's right, the Trump administration is ordering schools nationwide to certify that they are following federal civil rights laws and eliminating DEI practices as a condition for receiving federal money. A notice sent Thursday by the Education Department gives the nation's states and schools 10 days to sign and return the certification. Federal financial assistance is a privilege, not a right, Craig Traynor, Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, said in a statement. The certification asks state and school leaders to acknowledge that the use of certain DEI practices can violate federal law and result in a termination of funding. It follows a February 14th memo declaring that any school policy that treats students or staff differently because of their race is illegal. Financial markets keep reeling as some analysts describe Trump's tariffs as a worst-case scenario. The S&P 500 was down 4.3% in morning trading and on track for its worst day since COVID shattered the global economy 5 years ago. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 1,538 points, or 3.6% as of 10:55 Eastern Time. The latest check of the stock market as of right now, the Dow is down 1,346.77 points as of this reading. Fear is flaring globally about the potentially toxic mix of higher inflation and weakening economic growth that could be created by the tariffs rivaling levels unseen in roughly a century. It's plausible that Trump's latest move and most severe set of tariffs could reduce U.S. economic growth by 2 percentage points this year and raise inflation close to 5%, according to the multinational financial services company UBS. U.S. prices for some furniture could nearly double, trade association says. The Home Furnishings Association, which represents more than 13,000 U.S. furniture stores, predicted that the tariffs will increase between 10% and 46%, and they did, with China's being even higher. Vietnam and China are the top furniture exporter to the United States. The association said manufacturers in Asia are offsetting some of the costs by discounting their products and lowering ocean freight rates, but it still expects U.S. furniture prices to rise. Even domestically made furniture often relies on imported components, the association said. While many in the industry support the long-term goal of reshoring manufacturing, the reality is that it will take at least a decade to scale domestic production. Home Furnishings Association CEO Shannon Williams said in a statement, permitting, training a skilled workforce, and managing the higher costs of U.S. manufacturing are significant hurdles. Applying steep tariffs during this transition period only hurts the American consumer. And if all of that weren't enough, we leave you with this story. The Trump administration, or regime, has initiated what one former official has called a massacre of federal health agencies, firing thousands of workers considered vital for the protection of public health. According to the office of Senator Patty Murray, the Democrat from Washington, part of these cuts include the firing of the CDC's entire assisted reproductive technologies team. This despite Donald Trump's claim last week that he's the fertilization president, and the fact that he signed an executive order in February purportedly to expand IVF access, though it didn't really do that. On Tuesday, thousands of employees from the Department of Health and Human Services, which includes the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, received emails that they'd been terminated. Some reportedly only found out when they tried to swipe into their buildings and were denied. Both Murray and NPR reported that in one fell swoop, entire teams were eliminated across the agencies, including the communications team at the FDA, the entire thing. Almost 2/3 of the staff at the CDC National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Think about that for a second, folks. They're the ones that make sure that your job site is safe. The entire Division of Energy Assistance, which helps 5.9 million people pay their utility bills. The entire division gone. And 40% of staff from the Administration for Community Living, which regulates aging and disability policy. Additionally, over 800 people out of 6,000 employees have been fired from the FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, which approves new drugs and monitors side effects. At the National Institutes of Health, the biggest global funder of biomedical research, 1,300 people lost their jobs this week after the administration already fired 1,100 people. The top vaccine regulator at the FDA, Dr. Peter Marks, was also forced out last week. Folks, if you follow our newscasts on YouTube, now is the time to subscribe to the PEP Radio channel. That's the news at this hour. Now back to more music on PEP Radio.